Hello, hi, namaste. Welcome back to DNA Pathshala. So, today we are going to learn about one of the most fascinating process in biology, that is mitosis. This is the way our body grows, heals, and maintains life. Let's dive into the journey of a cell dividing into two identical cells and the mechanism behind that. In this video, we will learn about the cell division mitosis, its phases, mnemonics, and diagrams. Also, you will see cell cycle regulation and checkpoints. Okay, so let's get started. What is cell cycle? Cell cycle is nothing but the life of a cell from its formation to division. Mitosis, that is cell division, occurs in the M phase of the cell cycle. Its purpose is to growth and repair of cells, and it also helps in asexual reproduction. Every cell has a life cycle just like humans do. We call it the cell cycle. Cell cycle has two main stages, that is interphase and M phase. Interphase is again divided into G1, S and G2, and second stage is M phase where mitosis and cytokinesis happens. Let's see what is interphase. Interphase is the longest stage of the cell cycle. It is again divided into three stages. G1, that is growth 1, S, that is synthesis, and G2, that is growth 2. G1 phase, that is growth 1 or gap 1. In this phase, cell increases in size. Proteins and RNAs are synthesized in this phase. Organelles duplicate and cell prepares for the DNA replication, which will happen in S stage. S phase. S stands for synthesis. In this phase, DNA replication occurs. Each chromosomes form two sister chromatids, and histone proteins are also synthesized in this phase. Next is G2 phase, that is gap 2 or growth 2. The further growth of cells occurs in this stage. The enzymes and proteins which are required for mitosis are synthesized in this phase. Spindle fiber precursors are formed. So here occurs the checkpoint, and DNA is checked for the errors at the checkpoint. Now M stage, that is mitosis. It is preceded by the interphase, that is preparation phase. It has four stages: Prophase, Metaphase, Anaphase and Telophase, where cell divides. And then cytokinesis occurs, that is division of the cytoplasm. So M stage divided into mitosis plus cytokinesis. See, here is the diagram. In interphase, cell is prepared, then mitosis occurs in four stages: prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, and last is cytokinesis, that is the division of cytoplasm. To remember easily, use this mnemonic: I prefer milk and tea. That is I for interphase, for P for prophase, M for metaphase, A for anaphase and T for telophase. Simple and fun, right? Now let's learn the stages of mitosis, that is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase and cytokinesis in detail. First is prophase. Now the action begins. In prophase, chromatin condenses into visible chromosomes. Imagine threads getting rolled into tight balls. The nuclear membrane breaks down and spindle fibers start to form. Spindle fibers are like ropes that will pull chromosomes later. Next is metaphase. In metaphase, all chromosomes align at the center of the cell. We call it the equatorial plate. This is the most famous image of mitosis. So how will you remember mitosis? Think M for middle. So chromosomes align at the middle of the cell. Now comes anaphase, the most dramatic step. The spindle fibers pull the sister chromatids apart to opposite poles. Think of it like tug of war, where each team gets equal members. This ensures both daughter cells get the same genetic material. Okay. So here you can remember A for apart, where sister chromatids pulled apart from each other. Next is telophase. In telophase, the cells start relaxing again. Chromosomes uncoil back into the chromatin. Clear envelope reappears and spindle fibers disappears. Like after exams, students go back to home and relax. And next is cytokinesis, which is a part of M stage but not the mitosis. Finally, the cytoplasm divides. That's why it is called as cytokinesis. In animal cells, this cell pinches inwards, forming a cleavage furrow. But in plant cells, a new cell plate forms, but result is same, two daughter cells just like the parents, but ready to live their own life. Now let's see the significance of mitosis. Why is mitosis important? Because it maintains genetic stability by forming two identical cells. It replaces old and worn out cells, for example, skin and RBC. It helps in tissue repair and wound healing. Mitosis is not just theory, it's happening right now in your body. When your skin heals from a wound, yes, mitosis. When your hair grows, mitosis. When a plant grows taller, it is also mitosis. And when a starfish regrows its arm, yes, mitosis again. Nature is repeating this magic millions of times every second. So, mitosis is literally the backbone of life. Now let's revise and remember the journey. Interphase, that prepares. Prophase, where begins the show. Metaphase, that is aligned in the middle. Next, Anaphase, that is separates apart. Telophase, relaxation. And Cytokinesis completes the division. Use the mnemonic, I prefer milk and tea, and you will never forget the order. Now let's learn about cell cycle regulation and checkpoints. Think of the cell cycle like a railway system. Trains cannot move without signals. Similarly, cells also cannot move from one stage to the next without proper control. These controls are called regulators and checkpoints. Why do cells need regulation? Here is the answer. To keep order in the cell cycle, to stop damaged DNA from being copied, and to avoid uncontrolled cell division, which may cause cancer. It's just like traffic lights. Without them, there will be accidents. In the same way, checkpoints prevent accidents in the cell cycle. Now let's see key regulators, that is Cyclins and CDKs, which regulates the cell cycle. Cells have two main regulators, that is cyclins and CDKs. CDKs, that is cyclin dependent kinases. CDKs are like the engine of a car. They are always present, but they cannot start by themselves. Cyclins are the keys that turn the engine on. Their levels rise and fall at different stages of cell cycle. When they work together as a cyclin and CDK complex, they push the cell to the next stage, like a policeman showing a green signal. Now let's see how they work. Cyclin D and CDK 4 or 6 complex check if the cell is ready to start DNA copying. It happens at the G1 checkpoint. Next, cyclin E plus CDK2. This complex allows the cell to enter into the S phase and copy the DNA. Next, cyclin A plus CDK1. This complex checks if DNA copying is complete. This happens at the G2 checkpoint. Next is cyclin B plus CDK1. This complex allows the cell to enter into the mitosis. So, engines plus keys is equal to smooth journey of the cell cycle. Now comes a very important protein of the cell cycle regulation, that is P53, the guardian of the genome. Think of P53 as a security guard of a school. If homework, that is DNA, has mistakes, it stops the student at the gate. If mistakes are small, it allows correction. But if mistakes are too big, then guard says you cannot enter. This is called cell death, that is apoptosis. Without P53, damaged cells will enter into the cell cycle and can create trouble. This is how cancer can begin. So P53 is the most important protein of the cell cycle regulation. Now let's see the major checkpoints. There are three main checkpoints in the cell cycle: G1 checkpoint, G2 checkpoint and spindle checkpoint. G1 checkpoint. It checks if the cell is big enough and has enough nutrients and DNA is not damaged. It is also called as restriction point because it decides whether to proceed for the S phase, that is the DNA synthesis, or to enter into the G0 phase, that is gap or resting phase. Why? If cell is fully grown and DNA is ready to replicate, cell will enter into the S phase, and it will enter into G0 if cell has completed its dividing duties, or it will enter into resting phase or repair phase if something is damaged. Next is G2 checkpoint. It checks the replication of DNA is completed and no damage to the DNA, and it allows the cell to enter into the mitosis. Next is spindle assembly checkpoint. This happens in the M phase and the metaphase of the mitosis. At this checkpoint, it ensures all the chromosomes attached to the spindle fibers, and it also prevents the unequal chromosome distribution to the daughter cells. The checkpoints are like toll gates on the highway. Only cars that pay and are safe can pass. So, why are checkpoints necessary in the cell cycle? Think of checkpoints like traffic signals or quality control gates. They stop the cell at different points and check, is everything correct? Is the cell ready to move ahead? If yes, the cell continues. If not, the cell waits, repairs itself, or even stops dividing. So let's see why it is necessary. To maintain the genetic stability, checkpoints make sure DNA is copied correctly and shared equally, so that daughter cells formed are genetically identical. Next, to prevent the DNA damage, G1 and G2 checkpoints carefully check the DNA. If there are errors, the cell tries to repair them before continuing. This prevents harmful mutations from passing to the next generation of the cells. Next, to ensure proper growth, the G1 checkpoint checks if the cell is big enough and has enough energy and the right condition to divide. This avoids weak or incomplete cells. And last, to guarantee equal chromosome division. That is, during metaphase, the spindle checkpoint ensures all chromosomes are aligned at the center and spindle fibers are properly attached, so that to prevent the unequal distribution of chromosomes. So, checkpoints are the quality control system of the cell cycle. What happens if checkpoints do not work? DNA mistakes pass to the next generation of cells, and chromosomes may not divide equally. So, this can lead to the cancer or cell death. So, checkpoints are lifesavers. Now, let's revise cell cycle regulation. Cyclin dependent kinase, that is CDKs, are the engines. Cyclins are the keys to that engines. P53 protein, it is the security guard which do not allow damaged DNA to the S phase. And checkpoints are the quality control system of the cell cycle, that is G1, G2 and spindle checkpoints. So students, today we explored mitosis, its phases, and the very important cell cycle regulation and its checkpoints that keep our cell cycle safe. Remember, checkpoints are like security guards of the cell. They make sure everything is correct before the cell divides. If you enjoyed this lesson and found it helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In the next session, we will continue with more interesting topics. Until then, keep revising, keep learning and stay curious. Thank you for watching and see you in the next class.